Good day to everyone. Welcome to the second video of the three-part module of Week 2, Module 2. It is a continuation from the first video, so I am assuming that you would have already gone through the first part. Before we start this video though, let's have a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for senses that as we go through this audio presentation, please be with every member of this class. Continue to give us your wisdom and understanding, and help us to always recognize you as our master teacher in our lives. Amen. We are going to look at 6 different topics in this module: evaluation of the curriculum, learning experiences, learning activities, teaching content, and processes involved in teaching. Let's go to evaluation. Wikipedia says that evaluation is a systemic determination of merit, worth, and significance of something or someone using criteria against a set of standards. It continues to say that it is to draw and assess and compute an expression. In other words, evaluation is a process of making judgment based on criteria and evidence. To put it in my own words here, evaluation is the accumulation of all forms of assessment in coming to an overall conclusion of performance. The question is asked, what is curriculum evaluation? Glass and Wortham says that curriculum evaluation is the process of obtaining information for judging the worth of an educational program, a procedure, educational objectives, or the potential utility of alternative approaches designed to attain specific objectives. In other words, curriculum evaluation focuses on determining whether the curriculum as recorded in the master plan has been carried out in the classroom. Now, in evaluating a curriculum, the following key questions, the following 4 questions are usually asked. Are the objectives being addressed? Are the contents presented in the recommended sequence? Are students being involved in the suggested instructional experiences? Are students reaching or reacting to the contents? Now let's take a look at formative and summative evaluation. Formative evaluation is taking place during the lesson or project and tells the evaluator what is happening. It is ongoing and yields information that can be used to modify the program prior to termination. So in other words, during formative evaluation, information can be had so that changes can be made in the teaching process. Now, summative evaluation is a little different. It takes place at the end of a lesson or project and tells the evaluator what has happened. So it kind of sums up the learning process. Now, the learning experiences though is the interaction between the student and the external conditions in the environment to which he or she can react. A learning experience is an event and activities from which we can learn by experience and can identify to a certain extent what we have learned. Now, there are 4 principles that we need to consider when selecting learning experiences. Let's look at them carefully here. Learning is an active process in which the learner must be involved. So during the teaching learning process, have your students involved. 2. Learning is affected considerably by individual goals, values, and motives. As a teacher, you need to understand your students, what affects them, what they are guided by, and that will help you in the learning experience. Frequent repetition of responses to a class of situation is important in learning skills. Therefore, it is okay to repeat sometimes and repeat for emphasis sake. And fourthly, the wider the range of experiences presented to the learner, the more likely are the generalization and discrimination to occur. In fact, I want to add here that the more sense organs that are used in the teaching and learning experience, the research has shown that the greater would be the possibility of learning taking place. We will now look at 6 different criteria for selecting learning experiences. The criteria for selecting learning experiences are derived from the following 6 principles of learning. Here are they. Validity. Experiences must be closely connected with the educational goals and results in change behavior with respect to the stipulated objective. In other words here, what you do must be able to stand up to scrutiny. Secondly, comprehensiveness, and that demands all the objectives which are stated should have corresponding experiences, so that as you choose your objectives, there has to be experiences attached to them. Variety. Variety, as we are told, is the spice of life. Variable learning experiences should be presented. In other words, students must never come to your class and say, Miss with the same thing again, sir with the same thing again. They must always look forward to what you are going to bring to them in the class. Fourthly, suitability. Learning experiences must be closely related to the learner's needs, the capacities, the interests, and all the other factors which condition learning. The research has shown that when learning experience is related to those things, greater learning will take place with the students. There's also balance and continuity, balancing experiences from outside with others from the learning process itself. Then there is relevance. Learning experiences should have maximal relation to life. The research has clearly stated here that when students do not see what you teach as relating to their life and having meaning to their life, there is less zeal in wanting to learn. Therefore, we must always relate to life and what's happening around them. Let's look at some learning activities. Learning activities are those which allow students to engage actively with the content. That's a very important part of your lesson. Learning activities are what students will have to do in order to fulfill learning outcomes. When choosing types of activities, consider the following here. What knowledge or skill do you want the students to have at the end of the class or the course? Do you want to integrate additional collaborative activities, case studies, problem solving, etc.? Or do you simply want to keep the students busy? Or do you want the activities to promote deeper learning? Then there's the number of activities. To determine how many activities a class or course should have, the following should be considered. Let's look at 3 things here. What is the minimum that students must do in the class to achieve its goal? You must ask here, what can students reasonably do when they are taking other classes, working and having a family? Like in your case here, in this class. And thirdly, do you have time to give feedback for activities and assignments as students progress through projects that take several weeks? It's very, very important here. Then there's also sequence of activities. We have before class activities, where you help students prepare for class by giving them assignments such as reading, articles, review, problems, etc. Then there is the in-class activities, Give students opportunities to practice the skills and knowledge learned within the class discussion and give prompt feedback. Very, very important here. And of course here, out-of-class activities allow students to reflect on what they have learned by means of the class activities. Let's look at the teaching content. Content can be divided into 3 domains of knowledge: skills, attitudes, and values. Very important here. When we are teaching knowledge, we can use a variety of methods with the goal of getting the learner to actively engage in learning the material. So that's when we're teaching knowledge. When we're teaching skills, we need to demonstrate and point out important aspects, supervise the students doing the skill, or talk the students through the skill. When teaching about attitude, we need to use methods that require the application of the attitude in particular situation. And what better way to do it but to demonstrate proper attitudes to our students. When teaching values, we need to demonstrate that all that we are encouraging, our saying and our doing must be pointing in the same direction. In other words here, our motto as teachers must not be do as I say and not as I do. Our saying and doing ought to come together, as it says they're pointing in the same direction. Then there's some teaching processes as we close this video. Now, teaching processes consist of methods, strategies, structures, and techniques designed to organize teaching and ensure maximum learning. Sometimes, as teachers, we tend to use those terms interchangeably, but really actually they have their own definition and they in fact affect different aspects of our teaching. Let's look at methods. There are means and ways that we teach material to our students. Our choice of methods depends on what we want to teach, the content, who we are teaching, and the level of competence expected. So that's methods, the way we teach our material, the content to our students. Then there is the note that says here, methods are a planned set of steps designed to deliver instruction. And of course, the most common one used in schools is the lecture, where we talk to the students. Strategies. Strategy is an organized system of instruction based upon learning theory or how scholars think in a particular discipline. It has a research base supporting its ability to produce a strategy, so well that is the relevant results in students. Things like concept attainment, mnemonics, mastery learning, and advanced organizers are examples of teaching strategies. Then we have what is known as modules. Teaching and learning designs used to impact strategies while helping students to develop as persons, to increase their capacity to think clearly and wisely, and to build social skills and commitments. Modules. Modules are made up of 4 families: the social family, the information processing family, the personal family, and the behavioral family. And lastly here, we look at structures. Structures is content free, so when we talk about structures, we are not talking about anything that has content in our lesson. It's the process designed to organize interaction of individuals for instructional purposes. So if you have to make plans of how students would operate within the classroom itself, this comes under structures. Some of the cooperative learning techniques, they fall under structures. Things like numbered head together, think, pair, share, random call, and rally table. As we get a clearer understanding of these teaching processes, we are going to be better able to make a more positive impact in our classroom. Thank you. Goodbye.